My grandmother was a pioneer. Her Chinese zodiac was the rooster, which we always laughed about, because roosters are supposed to be pioneers, and they're not supposed to get along with horses, which my grandfather was. And maybe that's why they split after 45 years of marriage. My grandparents were farmers. They owned a small farm in southern Alberta where the Canadian thistles compete with the beets. They owned some cows, and my dad remembers trying to ride them as a kid. My grandmother, for as long as I remember her, which may be as long as she had dementia, loved repeating stories. She told me about when she was little, she was very weak, and so her parents sold her to a witch. And I'm not quite sure how this witch thing worked, but magically she was strong again, like a 5-year-old should be. She told me about proudly graduating as a woman from the Alberta College of Agriculture. She told me stories about her older brother, Uncle George, who played the fiddle. And the funniest story about Uncle George was when he brought home a handsome, swindling salesman. And I guess this cat was so handsome and swindling that he was able to steal my grandmother. My grandma told me that she was only 15 at the time. So it's debatable whether that was my grandfather or not, because she didn't start having kids until she was at least 38. But then again, near the end, she thought Uncle George was still alive. Could hear the ghost of his violin song, but couldn't hear me from across the carrot patch. And in the end, my Uncle Dale wanted her to die in a warm, clean home with a floor of pink carpet instead of a field of black dirt. She wasn't supposed to spend the rest of her life pulling bridge. Roosters can't die inside the house. And so in the end, it was a truck. She was on my Uncle Arvin's farm near Columbia, Missouri, a few hours from here. He hopped out of the truck and he needed to check the irrigation system. When he came back, her eyes were closed and her blood had forgotten oxygen. I imagine the truck was red and rusty and cold.